Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. Today we are doing the first movie in a franchise that's been going since 1996. It is the horror mystery slasher film Scream. As for the trivia question for today, in the movie, Randy states that there are 3 rules to surviving a horror movie. What are they? The answer will be at the end of this video. In the film, we are jumping into the life of our heroine, Sydney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell. It's been 1 year since her mother, Maureen Prescott, was murdered and killed by Cotton Weary, played by Liev Schreiber. But Cotton Weary is not the concern of our characters. There is a serial killer running around in a ghost face mask that is now trying to kill Sydney and all of her friends. The story of Scream is written by Kevin Williamson, who sat down one day while listening to the Halloween soundtrack trying to create a new horror movie, and this is what he came up with. The actual mask used in this movie is based off of a mask that was called the Peanut-Eyed Ghost. I'm really glad they decided to call it Ghostface because that would have been ridiculous. Another good choice they made in this film was not having the costume be white like they originally wanted it to. Someone pointed out how much it would look like the KKK, and of course they quickly changed it to black. The film uses over 50 gallons of fake blood throughout the course of the movie. The original title was actually called Scary Movie, which they changed their minds, but once this was found out, the spoof comedy that was made from it was called Scary Movie. There are, of course, tons of horror movie references throughout the film. One of the best ones has to be Wes Craven dressed up as Freddy Krueger being the janitor for the school. An especially funny part with this is that Tatum later says to Dewey, "Even the janitor is your boss," which technically in this movie is correct. Another fun connection to Nightmare on Elm Street is Joseph Whipp. He played a police officer in that movie, and he also plays the sheriff in this movie. There's an ongoing joke that it's the same character who decided to get out of that town and move to North Carolina, where it would supposedly be safer. There is a throwback to the original Nightmare on Elm Street, where Billy comes in through the window just like Johnny Depp did. Also, if you don't notice, when he's in Sydney's room, the song Don't Fear the Reaper is playing, which might be alluding to something later in the film. During the party scene, they're watching the movie Halloween, and what's really funny is there's a sequence where Jamie Kennedy, who is playing Randy, is screaming out, "Turn around, Jamie, turn around," referencing Jamie Lee Curtis needing to turn around, when in fact, Jamie Kennedy should turn around during that scene to not get killed. There's even a t shirt reference, as Johnny Depp is wearing a 10 jersey in Nightmare on Elm Street, and Rose McGowan is wearing a 10 jersey in this movie. Linda Blair from The Exorcist even shows up as a cameo, playing a news reporter. Throughout this film, there are tons of references to different horror movies, including Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and all sorts of Stephen King references. Henry Winkler had a great time playing the principal in this movie, but they did make a reference to his character, the Fonz, as you can see Fonzie's leather jacket in his closet. Before Wes Craven, there was a lot of potential directors for this movie, including Robert Rodriguez, Danny Boyle, George A. Romero, and even Sam Raimi. There's also a lot of potential casting for this movie. Neve Campbell did sign on, but primarily due to the fact that her co-star from The Craft, Skeet Ulrich, was also going to be in this movie. Other actresses that were up for the role of Sydney Prescott were Molly Ringwald, Brittany Murphy, Melissa Joan Hart, Alicia Witt, Melanie Linsky, Reese Witherspoon, Claire Danes, Melinda Clark, AJ Langer, and Holly Marie Combs. The role of Sydney Prescott was actually originally given to Drew Barrymore. She unfortunately had to turn it down due to scheduling, but they asked her to stick around to play Casey for a few short scenes. Now, what's interesting about this is they set it up so that all marketing and advertising made it seem like Casey was in fact the main character. So that way, when people came to see the movie and Drew Barrymore died so quickly, they would realize that everyone is on the chopping block. Now, Skeet Ulrich did end up playing Billy Loomis, but there was a lot of potential actors for that role as well. Some of the potential actors for this role were Joaquin Phoenix, Justin Whalen, Michael Landis, Leonardo DiCaprio, even Kevin Patrick Walls, who unfortunately did not get the role, but they allowed him to play the character of the boyfriend who gets kidnapped at the beginning of the movie. Apparently, both David Arquette and Matthew Lillard were also up for the role of Billy, but they made much better choices by putting them in as Dewey and Stu. Rose McGowan does play Tatum in the movie, but some actresses who are also up for that role were Rebecca Gayheart, Melinda Clark, and Charlotte Ayana. Rebecca Gayheart unfortunately could not be in the movie So they ended up bringing her back in the sequel, Scream 2, as one of the sorority girls. Courtney Cox obviously plays the role of Gail Weathers in this movie. She was sick of playing sweet and friendly characters like Monica on Friends and wanted to play a bitch character. Janine Garofalo and Brooke Shields also had the possibility of being Gail. Elizabeth Berkley read for the role, but due to the flop that she had with Showgirls, she did not get the role. There was a potential for Seth Green to play the character of Randy Meeks, but when it came down to it, there were three options that the studio decided on: either Breckenmeyer, Jason Lee, or Jamie Kennedy, and we all know who got the role. Aside from Matthew Lillard, the only other potential actor who tried out for the role of Stu was Freddie Prinze Jr. Also, speaking about Stu, the last half of the movie is a big party that happens at Stu Macher's home. It actually took 21 days to film that giant party scene because of how much was happening. A really fun game to play while watching this movie is trying to figure out which killer is in which scene. Try to see if you can figure out for yourself while watching it next time you see it. One more interesting piece of information for you: after this film came out, the sales for caller ID skyrocketed due to how many people were now afraid of who might be calling them. Scream is absolutely a classic at this point, and will definitely go down in history for at least two things. Number one, bringing back the slasher genre in the 90s. Number two, the classic line, "What's your favorite scary movie?" I'm going to give Scream a 4 out of 5. As for the trivia question from the beginning of the episode, in the movie, Randy states that there are three rules to surviving a horror movie. What are they? Rule 1: you can never have sex. Rule 2: you can never drink or do drugs. And Rule 3: never say, "I'll be right back," because you won't be back. This has been Askewed Reviews. If there is any movie you'd like to see get a review, please leave your suggestion in the comments. Otherwise, like, comment, share, and subscribe.